Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, Chapter 4, and Text 17. And this morning, we are fortunate to have His Grace Dronacarya Prabhu ISKCON, Philadelphia, to give the class. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada. It's great to be with the Harrisburg family this morning.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
It's all
Krishna.
yours. It's all yours. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashota Tarashi Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki
Yay.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashota Tarashi Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Maharaj Ki
Yay.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki
Yay.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki
Yay.
Prem Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki
Yay.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki
Yay.
Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki
Yay.
Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki
Yay.
Ganga Maya Ki
Yay.
Jamuna Maya Ki
Yay.
Bhakti Devi Ki
Yay.
Tulsi Devi Ki
Yay.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki
Yay.
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki
Yay.
Nitai Gaura Premanande
Hari Hari Bo.
All glories the assembled devotees
Hari Krishna.
All glories the assembled devotees
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories, all glories, all glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Jai Guru Shri Shri Guru.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Nityanamane. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shri Shri Guru Prabhu Shri Bhakti Tirtha Iti Namane. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraje Nastu Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, one should offer one's respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, and to Narayan Rishis, the supermost human beings, and to the Goddess of Learning, Mother Saraswati, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes in Srimad Bhagavatam, and rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart becomes almost completely destroyed, and devotional service becomes established within one's heart as an irrevocable fact. We're studying today Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 4, text number 17. It is great to be with you all this Monday morning. Tapashvino dana paro yayashvino manashvino mantra vidasa mangala shimam navindanti vinayar arpanam tasmai subhadra shvasvase namo namaha. Tapashvino dana para yashashvino manashvino shvino mantra vidasa mangalaha shimam navedanti vinayar arpanam tasmai subhadra shvasvase namo namaha. Tapashvino dana paraya shashvino manashvino mantra vidasa mangalaha shimam navindanti vinayar arpanam tasmai subhadra shvasvase namo namaha. Would devotees like to begin?
Tapasvino dana paraya shashvino manasvino mantra vidasu mangala chimam na bindanti vinayadapanam tasubhadra shravase namo nama. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vinodana parayashasvino manasvino mantra vidasu mangala shimam na vidanti vinayadarpanam tasmai subhadra shravishe namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Amala, go
Krishna.
ahead. Go ahead.
Tapasvino dan para yashasvino manasvino mantravida sumangala Shimam na vindanti vinaya darpanam tasmai subhadra shavase namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move along to the synonyms. Tapashvina, the great learned sages. Dana para, the great performer of charity. Yashashvinaha, the great worker of distinction. Manashvinaha, the great philosophers or mystics. Mantra Vida, the great chanter of Vedic hymns. Sumangalaha, strict followers of Vedic principles. Shemam, fruitful results. Na, never. Vindanti, attain. Vina, without. Yet panam, dedication. Tasmai, unto him. Subhadra, auspicious. Shravase, hearing about him. Namaha, my obeisances. Namaha, again and again. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, again and again, because the great learned sages, the great performers of charity, the great workers of distinction, the great philosophers and mystics, the great chanters of Vedic hymns, and the great followers of Vedic principles cannot achieve any fruitful result without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord. Purport. Advancement of learning, a charitable disposition, political, social, or religious leadership of human society, philosophical speculations, the practice of the yoga system, expertise in Vedic rituals, and all similar high qualities in man serve one in the attainment of the perfection only when they are employed in the service of the Lord. Without such dovetailing, all such qualities become the source of trouble for people in general. Everything can be utilized either for one's own sense gratification or in the service of one other than oneself. There are two kinds of self-interest also, namely personal selfishness and extended selfishness. But there is no qualitative difference between personal and extended selfishness. Theft for personal interest or for family interest is of the same quality, namely criminal. A thief pleading not guilty because of committing theft, not for personal interest, but for the interest of society or country, has never been excused by the established law of any country. People in general have no knowledge that the self-interest of the living being attains perfection only when such an interest coincides with the interest of the Lord. For example, what is the interest of maintaining body and soul together? One earns money for maintenance of the body, personal or social, but unless there is God consciousness, unless the body is properly maintained to realize one's relation with God, all good efforts to maintain body and soul together are similar to the attempts of the animals to maintain body and soul together. The purpose of maintaining the human body is different from that of the animals. Similarly, advancement in learning, economic development, philosophical research, study of Vedic literature, or even execution of pious activities like charity, opening hospitals, the distribution of food grains, should be done in relationship with the Lord. The aim of all such acts and endeavors must be the pleasure of the Lord, and not the satisfaction of any other identity, individual or collective. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:27, the same principle is confirmed, where it is said that whatever we may give in charity, whatever we may observe in austerity, must be given over to the Lord or be done on his account only. The expert leaders of a godless human civilization cannot bring about fruitful results, even in all their different attempts at educational advancement or economic development, unless they are God conscious. And to become God conscious, one has to hear about the all-auspicious Lord, as he is described in the literature like the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hey, yeah.
Om Agyanatimbadandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Umalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stvapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Panchakopatarubhyascha Kripasindhuvyeva cha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. A translation once again. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-auspicious Lord Sri Krishna again and again, because the great learned sages, the great performers of charity, the great workers of distinction, the great philosophers and mystics, the great chanters of Vedic hymns, and the great followers of Vedic principles cannot achieve any fruitful results without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord. This is a really beautiful verse. When we read these qualities that are listed here, we see that these are really some attractive qualities, and they are held in high regards within human society. Somebody who is greatly learned, has a lot of wisdom, who is a teacher, who gives knowledge and helps other people understand information. A person who is a great performer of charity. Those that earn or have been given by their good karma, have been, given a lot of wealth. And instead of using that wealth for sense gratification, and maybe they use some for sense gratification, but the idea is that they see a higher purpose in society to help others, whether it's to feed others, to give education to people that don't have it, those that are underprivileged in that way, being able to give some money, give opportunity to others so that they can make some type of advancement from their material position. Great workers of distinction. We read about in our history books, people that helped shaped, the modern system, the way things are in the modern world. They put in more work than everybody else. They've created systems so that other people could work. They developed manufacturing and industry, and paved railroads, or built railroads, paved roads, built bridges, worked really, really hard, and their names are remembered because of such hard, dedicated work. And then when we get into the spiritual side of things, great philosophers and mystics, those that maybe gave up material pursuits, in order to study the more subtle aspects of life, understanding that life isn't just about acquiring material property and wealth. And then the great chanters of the Vedic hymns, those that are expert in not only studying and understanding, but performing rituals for the purification of oneself as well as the whole world, you know, and the great followers of Vedic principles. You know, these are all certainly, like I said before, held in high regard in human society. And to think that all of these considerations, they cannot achieve any fruitful result ultimately, unless you add the ingredient of God, Lord Sri Krishna. Takes me to a verse in the Bhagavad Gita in the 11th chapter, text number 53, of the universal form. This is when Krishna has shown Arjuna his two-handed form, after showing him the universal form, then his form of Narayan. He says, the form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penance, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So I was thinking how there's really two ways we can look at this verse. The first way is that regardless of what activity we do in this world, if it is not dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it will allow us to remain in this material world, which is unnatural, and which is not our purpose as spirit souls. The spirit soul is an eternal servant of Krishna, who has an eternal relationship with Krishna. And as long as we remain in bondage in this material world, even if it is through charity or setting up religious or political systems for the betterment of human society, we will still remain entangled. We will generate karma, maybe good karma, maybe bad karma, but we'll have to receive the results of such activities. And thus we'll never attain perfection. We'll never attain perfection, and perfection is described as becoming, free from this material world and going back home, back to Godhead, by being in complete union with the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada referred to a verse here, Samsidir Haritoshanam. This further explains, this is a verse from the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a famous verse, Atam Pumbir Dvija Shrestha, Varnashram Vigabashaha, Swanushta Tasha Dharmashaha, Samsidir Haritoshanam. Samsidir Haritoshanam means the highest perfection that is pleasing to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. O best among twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve in discharging the duties prescribed by one's occupation according to caste divisions and orders in life is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so, as I mentioned, we can look at this in two ways. The first way is that whatever activities we do, even if they're beneficial to society, if they're devoid of Krishna as being the object who we're offering it to, such activities will induce and provide us with karma. The other is that the other way we look at this is that when we develop and understand who Krishna is, that Krishna is the supreme proprietor, he is the Purusha, the controller, that everything is coming from Krishna, is contained within Krishna. Krishna is the origin, he is the maintainer, and he is also the destroyer of this material world. He's in control of all of them. When we understand the supremacy of Lord Krishna, as stated in the 10th chapter of the 8th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, one should know me as the creator of both the material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. Those who understand this, they engage in my devotional service. And we develop a personal relationship with that supreme being. Krishna, you are worthy of being worshipped for these reasons. And then when one is engaged in devotional service to the Lord, what do you want to do? You want to please the Supreme Lord. By rendering devotional service, Krishna then reveals himself to the devotee. As he said, by these other means, by just performing pious activities in this world, Krishna is not Krishna. He's not conquered. He's not this is our ability to cross over from the material to the spiritual is only able through the revelation of Krishna coming down and showing himself to us. And Krishna gives us the secret to that. That is pure devotional service. And that is why pure devotional service is considered to be so rare. And it's because it's so attractive to Krishna. And most of human society misses out on this. Thinking that the goal of life is protecting our own security in this world through sense gratification. I'll jump back onto this point, but I just wanted to touch on this idea because, especially because in about a month, there's a political election, and we hear so much propaganda. And we hear sometimes, so when Srila Prabhupada touches on this, there are two kinds of self-interest, namely self-interest for the body, as well as self-interest that is extended, and that goes beyond. Sometimes it's for our family, sometimes it's for our country, sometimes it's for a political party, and we may feel as if we are, by this act of working outside of ourself. I'm not doing it for me. After all, I'm doing it for a higher cause. I'm doing this for my country. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for making the sacrifice for my family. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for my political party, etc. sometimes we think that level of detachment or we consider this to be, well, I'm not being selfish. I'm actually being selfless because I'm not doing it for me. There may be some minor point to that. There may be some aspect to this, which could be true. However, as long as we're operating in this material system, all activities will ultimately wind up in frustration. Even if you're successful in sacrificing for your family, even if you're successful in getting your political candidate elected, even if you're successful in working for some other cause in this world, we know that ultimately the results are temporary. And because they're temporary, they will never bring complete satisfaction to the self. It is a big step when a person steps outside of just thinking about one's own self and is able to sacrifice for another. But that sacrifice is incomplete unless we put Krishna in the center. And that's why in this verse that Srila Prabhupada refers to, 927, Krishna advises us that if you really want to become free, find peace and happiness, and not be bound up by this material world, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, do that as an offering to me. And in this way, we can make our lives with Krishna in the center. The other thing is another thing, when we place Krishna in the center, we can find peace and harmony. The Bhagavad Gita text, or the last verse of the 5th chapter, Srila Prabhupada coined this the peace formula. Because we cannot find true peace in this world as long as there's intersecting lines. When my interest intersects with your self-interest, then we have a conflict. If I'm going for the same job that you're going for, there's a conflict. If I'm doing the same service and I have a certain goal, and you do, and you may have a different goal, and they overlap, there's going to be a conflict. And this world is, set upon desires that we all have, expectations that we all have. We have expectations of each other. We have them of ourselves. We have them of our government. We have them of our leaders. We have them of our children, our parents. We have them of our bosses. We have them of our spouses. We have them of our religious leaders. We have so many expectations and desires, and they're just crossing back and forth. And as a result, we have all these conflicts. When Krishna is in the center and we form a circle around Krishna and we dance in rhythm with at the same pace that Krishna, at the same cadence that Krishna is moving, then we can find harmony. The truth lies in being in step with Krishna. One way to illustrate this is if you have 100 people standing at the edge of a pond, and they all throw a rock into the pond. Whenever the rock lands, it's going to create a bunch of circles that come from it. Each of those circles, each rock that's thrown that creates a center indicates that I think I'm the center. And then from that comes all these little circles that come out, little waves that get distributed. So eventually those waves are going to intersect within each other because there's all these different centers that exist. But if there's only one rock that's thrown in and there's one center, and we accept the role that we are the servants of that center, then you can have true peace and harmony. So this brings us back to the point of we're not going to actually find satisfaction. We cannot find perfection unless Krishna is at the center of all our activities. In the purposes of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada, he wrote, to propagate a consciousness of Krishna as it is revealed in the great scriptures of India, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam. This is one of the purposes that he established. And in this purport today, he ends this with, and to become God conscious, one has to hear about the all-auspicious Lord as described in the literatures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. This was one of the purposes he had in establishing ISKCON, is that these teachings, book by God, Bhagavad Gita, book about God, Srimad Bhagavatam. Because unless we understand this, unless we have this spiritual knowledge, we won't be able to we won't be able to see the truth, number one. We won't be able to have clarity of what this material world is. And then we won't be able to align our values with the values which makes Krishna happy. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, which what is pleasing to Krishna. We won't know what is pleasing to Krishna. We'll align ourselves with the values of this world. Even from the angle or the perspective of just being religious, that I'll worship God, and God, you give me the things that I need. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam go beyond that. It's about God revealing oneself to the living being and teaching us how Krishna reveals himself to the living being. It's teaching us about pure devotional service and how to reawaken love of God. You don't hear about reawakening love of God. You hear about liberation. You hear about freedom in the afterlife. You hear about not being self-centered, but becoming selfless. But reawakening love of God, that is very rare. And these books, these great books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, give us that. Find out what is pleasing to Krishna, for Krishna's satisfaction. And then we understand, when Krishna has satisfied, then we will also be satisfied. Just as water is given to the root of the tree, naturally all the branches and appendages of that tree become satisfied. It is okay to pray to Krishna for pure devotional service. And sometimes there are obstacles in the way of our pure devotional service. And if the goal is that we want pure devotional service to Krishna, and Krishna, well, I have these things that I can't get over for whatever reason, please remove them. I need them because I want to render devotional service to you. These are not material prayers. There's a nice devotee in New Vrindavan. His name is Gaur Shakti. He was telling me one time that he moved to New Vrindavan and the conditions were so austere. And he moved there because he believed in the principle of simple living and high thinking. And that's what he was looking for. And he could see how dedicated devotees were, waking up early, sometimes in the extreme cold, having very little facility, and working very hard. And he felt a connection to Krishna through all of that. And he was developing his relationship with Krishna. And he wanted nothing more. At the same time, his the food, the prasadam that they were able to offer at the time was extremely austere. He said the first day they came, there was a wedding when he first arrived, and he thought this is what it'll be like every day. There was a huge sumptuous feast, and he said, "Wow." And then every Sunday they would make a very special feast, but during the week, sometimes it was just like oatmeal, that they would have some chapatis that were really tough, made of this wheat that they grew there, so it wasn't even finely ground wheat, so it was very hard to digest. They would have he said, some semblance of a khichdi every once in a while, but it was very, very tough to live on this. And he would live up until the Sunday and kind of get refueled again. But as time went on, he just said, I just don't think I can do this. I don't think my body can physically survive this anymore. He says, I love it here. I love the atmosphere. I love the devotees. I love Krishna. But Krishna, I just don't think my body can take it anymore. And he said, so he told Krishna, he says, you're either going to have to make me change, or you're going to have to make this place change. But I can't live here but I can't do this any longer. He said then within a day or two, he realized that the things that he was, the prasadam that he was taking every day, he was able to do it. What would seem like a huge austerity, that was very, he had to really tolerate to just digest it and get it down his throat. All of a sudden, it had a different quality to it, and he was able to go on. It was no longer a distraction and an obstacle in his devotional life, and he was able to flourish and remain there, and continue to remain there after decades and decades of service. And I thought that was really telling, because he wanted to do devotional service. He was attracted, but at the same time, he realized there was a barrier between him and the being able to give himself to the Lord. And so he went to the Lord, not for a material thing. He didn't say, give us good food, so we can enjoy ourselves. He just wanted to he just knew that he understood his limitations. He says, Krishna, I really want you. So maybe I have to change. Or Krishna, maybe the situation, and you have to change the situation. But I'm placing it into your hands. And if it means that I have to leave, then I accept it. But if it means that I have to stay, please arrange the situation so that I can tolerate this. And he said, and he told me, he says, Krishna changed me. You know, whatever it was in my taste buds that allowed me to, and in my digestion was able to allow me to remain, everything had changed for me. Finding out what is pleasing to Krishna, that is what that is the goal. That should be the goal of our activities. That should be the goal of our behavior, the interactions we have with others. That should be the goal when we chant, when we pray, when we read the scriptures. Krishna, I want to please you. This is what makes the gopis so special. Last Thursday was the anniversary of the Sharad Purnima, where the Rasa dance had taken place. It's very dear to us in Philadelphia because our deities are named after this night, Sri Sri Radha Sharad Bihari. And the whole pastime of the Rasa Leela, which is one of the more misunderstood pastimes of Lord Krishna, from those who have not been taught through a bona fide spiritual master. They see it as just a mundane activity that God is doing, and therefore, oftentimes many criticize Krishna for this activity. But what we really see, it's the most selfless love and activity that Krishna's devotees has for the Lord. It's not mundane in any sense. You know, Srila Sukadev Goswami is the speaker. And when we look at the life of Srila Sukadev Goswami, we see, you know, he was completely pure. Even from birth, he was pure. Maharaj Parikshit was the hearer. He had renounced everything, all sense gratification, all kingdom, you know, gave up everything to sit in his copins just to hear about the Lord preparing for death. But yet, they glorify this as Lord Chaitanya did, who was a sannyasi, as the highest form exhibited of loving devotion by anyone. And the reason it was so special is because the gopis were thinking only about Krishna, how do we please you? When Krishna started playing his flute, the gopis, upon hearing the special melody that Krishna was playing, they dropped everything to go to Krishna. Many of them were married. Many of them had, you know, responsibilities. But Krishna was calling them. They had that inner calling, and they had dropped everything when they heard Krishna. And when they arrived, Krishna began to preach to them. He said, what are you doing? You came here. This is very dangerous. It's the middle of the night. And, you know, there are jackals in the forest. There are tigers in the forest. There are snakes in the forest. You know, all of these could basically kill you, eat you, and no one would ever know about it. And then he said, in addition to that, what is going to happen to your reputation? Your prestige is going to be ruined. And most of the time, whenever we do things, we keep in mind, you know, our reputation, our prestige. You know, we develop great pride around these things. Oftentimes in service, there are many things that we're willing to sacrifice, but prestige and honor is usually we're not willing to sacrifice prestige and honor. We may say it, and we may give some of it up, but it's a hard one for most devotees to give up. Complete selflessness, to the degree that we read about in the Shikshastakam, in the 8th verse. This level of selflessness is very, very rare in this world. And when we do see it, we should take shelter of such personalities. But when Krishna said, he says, just quick, return home. Nothing good can come of you coming here. It was interesting because Krishna is the one that called them, but he was testing them to see. You've put yourself in physical danger, as well as you put yourself in danger in society through your reputation. Your life will no longer be the same. He says, please go back home. And then the gopis began to speak to Krishna and preach to him and say, Krishna, do you realize that every relationship that we have in our lives, whether it's to our family, whether it's to our animals, we have, either husbands or we have, parents, we have in-laws. The only thing that makes them special, that makes them attractive, is that you're present within their heart. If you disappear from their heart, they become dead bodies. He said, and who is attracted to a dead body? Therefore, it is you that is all attractive, and you are the source of our attraction to them. So therefore, you're standing before us. Therefore, we cannot leave. And they weren't worried. They were willing to sacrifice even the thing that is most dear to us for the pleasure of Krishna. And because of that, Krishna then reciprocated with them. And they danced in harmony, at complete peace. Now, there's more to the Leela, of course, where at a certain point, that harmony got thrown off. And Krishna sensed the tinge of pride that was developing among the gopis, even though they sacrificed more than we could possibly think of sacrificing for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna will keep pulling us further and further until all of it is out of us. And each of them were thinking, Krishna is with me. Krishna is only with me. There must be something really, really special about me, that Krishna is dancing with me. And when Krishna realized that pride was there, Krishna disappeared from them and left them in separation. And in that separation, Krishna again wanted to test, is the hankering still there? Are they just going to go home and say, forget about this Krishna? He told us to go. He tricked us. No, they wanted Krishna more and more. And in doing so, Krishna extracted that pride from their heart, where then they realized that maybe I'm not so special. Krishna is the one that is special. Let us search after Krishna. Let us find where Krishna has gone. So they encountered, they ran after, they started running around. Krishna, where are you? They started embracing the trees, thinking it was Krishna. They started talking to the sky and the moon and the stars. They started speaking to the deer. Have you seen our beloved Shyamasundar, the lotus-eyed Lord of Vrindavan? Where is that enjoyer of Mother Yashoda? Where is Nanda Nandana, the darling of Nanda Maharaj? And they were calling out, singing songs, chanting Krishna's names. And they came across these two sets of footprints going down a path. And they realized that maybe these are Krishna's footprints. Maybe these footprints are with, there's two sets, so it must be another gopi. And then they started looking around, who was missing amongst us? They realized, it must be Srimati Radharani. And then those two sets of footprints turned into one and became deeper and deeper, that one set of footprint. So they reasoned that, she must have gotten tired and Krishna picked her up and is carrying her. And they were hustling and hustling because they wanted to see what was going on. And as they sat, then they heard the calling and the wailing louder than their own. And they saw Srimati Radharani sitting beneath a tree. Pools of her sari soaked in tears, pools of water filling around her, just generating from her tears. And they realized that, wow, we were really having it hard, but not as hard as Srimati Radharani. And Krishna was hiding behind the tree. He wanted to see the reaction of the gopis. He wanted to activate this intense longing that was deeper and deeper, even from the original sacrifice that they made. He wanted to pull them deeper and eradicate any sense of pride that they may have. He made himself, he transformed himself into Narayan, because as they started to assemble more and more, he realized that he was going to get caught. So he assumed his four-armed form. The gopi said, "Who is that behind? I see somebody in the tree there." And they rushed over and they said, "Oh, it is Lord Narayan, the Lord of the universe." And they started offering their respectful obeisances to him. Om Namo Narayana. They started saying, "You are the supreme, you are the knower of everything. Please direct us to where we can find the lotus-eyed enjoyer of Vrindavan." And he would point in one direction. Krishna then started, playing a trick on them again. He started leading them to a different path, pointing this direction, go this direction. And as they were very respectful to Lord Narayan pushed them in a different direction. And finally, Srimati Radharani, coming in a very weeping voice, "Lord Narayan, you are the Supreme Person. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. I can't live another moment. My life is meant for the pleasure of the lotus-eyed enjoyer of Vrindavan Dham." And as soon as he heard this, he could no longer hold his disguise any longer. And he began to transform himself, and he was trying to hold it as long as he could. It was like a parent who's trying to be very, very strict and stern with their child. Child may have done something wrong, and they have to take a very strong position, and they're holding, facial expression is very stern. And then the child does something so adorable and cute, the parent can't help but smile and laugh. Krishna was conquered by the love of Srimati Radharani, to the point where she transformed him from Narayan back into Shyamasundar. And then when they saw this, they started calling out Krishna's name, rushing to Krishna. And Krishna realized that the intensity of the love that the gopis had for him was unmatched by any other living entity. He resumed the rasa dance, and it lasted for one night of Brahma. And Krishna, who is the controller of time, Time I am, the destroyer of the worlds. Krishna can control time, Krishna can stop time, Krishna can manipulate time. And he bestowed his mercy and revealed the deep the deep innermost essence, the most relationship, which is the most concealed of all, to his devotees. And then he also protected them as they returned home. Everything by his yoga maya potency, everything was back to normal. So we see that this is what conquers Krishna. This is what our goal of our activities should be. There's some Sadir Haritoshana, how to give pleasure to the Lord. And this is the importance of reading, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, because we get this understanding. Hare Krishna. I know I went over a little bit. I started saying that pastime, and then I realized I should have started it earlier. I'm sorry for keeping you all. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. No, it was very, very nice to listen to the pastime of the gopis to put it in. How gopis are teaching us by their example. When we hear Krishna's flute, they drop everything. Krishna is always priority in their mind. They're thinking about him when he's not present with them. They hear the flute, they immediately go to him. And, the texts that you quoted from Bhagavad Gita, Tapumbi, Jastrishta, Samsiddhi Haritoshana, the teaching us the importance of connecting everything to Krishna consciousness. And that's where real happiness is. Bottom line, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Dear devotees, this is the time. I know we're past the hour, but if you have any questions or realizations you'd like to share, please unmute yourself at this time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Dronacarya, it's really beautiful, Prabhu. I mean, for me, it was a beautiful Kartik meditation to really share with us. I think what I got away from this, the bottom line or the crux of the whole thing is to do what pleases the Lord in the month of Kartik. And I just saw that similar post by His Holiness Sachinanda Swami for his day for Kartik meditation today, is go within and see what pleases the Lord. And I think that's the key point, because sometimes we get so caught up in our daily lives, in our, obligations and commitments and what have you, that we forget to really stop and think how blissful devotional service is. It's so blissful. I was reading a lecture quote, but I forgot whom, a few days ago. And the title of this lecture was Happiness is Impossible Without Devotional Service. And I was like, whoa, that's so true, that, because we live in a temporary world.
Yeah.
And which means temporary happiness, but Krishna consciousness is so permanent that the happiness lies in serving the Lord and his devotees, no? And I really like the pastime you shared about in Vrindavan when we were there.
Yeah.
It was a really nice pastime. Yeah. And you know how he just gave up? He came for a day, but he ended up staying forever. It was hilarious. And and when we hear these pastimes, Prabhu, it really makes us think that how fortunate we are, to have this mercy of serving the Lord and his devotees, and how we should really make it a point, at least in Kartik, because, we've heard Kartik is the month when Krishna is on sale, lack of a better word. How can we grab that? But your class has been such a beautiful Kartik meditation for us to really go deep within our hearts and search as we say in the Christian church, go within our hearts and search, how can we please the Lord even more? Not just please, but do it even extra in the month of Kartik. So beautiful, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you also, yeah. I
What,
second. Mhm.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Parikshit.
No, I second what Sia said. Very, very nice. And also there is another appreciation in the chat from Nupur. Hare Krishna. Um, when you put that you apologize that you went over at 9 o'clock, a little longer, you thought you should have shared the Gopi pastime earlier. Then she wrote, Hare Krishna, please don't apologize. You shared the most wonderful nectar, Haribo. So this is another point to you, that the words are very appreciative of the lecture and the way it came across. Hare Krishna. So thank you also. Thank you very much. Any other points, realizations, questions? If not, then Donna, thank you very much for a very wonderful class. Vanchaka Patru Visakripa
I hate to cut
You
you
want to
off.
say
I'm
something?
sorry. No, Rutherford Prabhu just put a post too.
Okay, all right. So let's look at it. Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We can accept our humble obeisances, glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing such a nice class, such a such blissful hearing about Lord Krishna early morning from the devotee.
I
Yeah,
feel the same way too.
glad to hear class. Yeah,
I think your class, Drona, has really switched our hearts and our minds into the meditative mood for us to meditate on the Lord on this beautiful day of month and day of Kartik,
yes,
to really go in and search within our hearts what and how can we please the Lord by engaging in service. And you talked about service quite a bit, service. And I mean, we were discussing yesterday at the lecture yesterday at the temple that service is what Radharani did for Krishna. She just served. She didn't sit back and just, was enjoying in her comforts. She was always thinking how to serve my beloved. And that was her devotion. She's the mother of devotion. So we should be, following and learning from her. How can we please Krishna by serving and praying to Radharani? Help us to come out of our comfort zone and engage in more service, so that the Lord will accept it. And you really started your class off with this beautiful meditation, and I know I can speak for myself. It is a beautiful food for thought that I know will really meditate on. So thank you for setting the week straight for us, Prabhu. Really.
All glories to Gurudev, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare
Gurudev ki
Krishna.
jai. Yes.
Also, a nice reminder about the period we're in, the Kartik period. Sri Damodar.
Yeah.
Very much so. So, because I know when you're chanting Jai Radha but when you finish with Radha Damodar quite a few times. I counted it, we did it 4 times for you. And this is, again, Damodar is the Kartik month. So, indirectly, you are reminding us about the month that we're in. Very important. Thank you, dear devotees, for coming, and have a nice, wonderful Krishna conscious week. This Kartik is the best time of the year, because Krishna consciousness is on sales. Whatever you do, you get so many more credits than usual. Vanchakapatru Visya Kripa Sindhi Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
How are you feeling, Parikshit Prabhu? You feeling any better?
Getting better slowly, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting better slowly, yeah. Looking forward to coming. Looks like it's going to be the 17th. So
17th,
architecture, yeah.
Okay, great.
17 next month. Yeah.
Drona, when the body gets older, it takes longer to heal. That's what he's going through. It takes a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be
Yeah.
okay though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's important. Health is, yeah, health. Health, sadness, service.
Mm.
You gotta.
Yeah.
So
Hare
yeah, no,
Krishna.
we'll definitely look forward to you coming. Devotees
Okay.
here in Philadelphia,
All right. The
are
keywords you
eager
come?
to. What's that?
The keywords?
Yeah,
Yes, no?
yeah,
Yeah,
keyboard.
okay.
Yeah,
We'll bring it.
bring the keyboard. It's not just the class we want to hear. We also want to hear the kirtan.
Okay. All right. Hare Krishna.
We want to hear both.
We'll see. Krishna, much service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll be in
Okay.
Dronacarya.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai.